Tanya from Little Vintage Cottage. I am back. It is time for Christmas in August. And if you saw my Facebook event and reminder, then you saw that I almost forgot. Or really, I didn't forget. I'm just running out of time. But I think we'll get it done. So this month we are making our own little Putz houses. So this is modeled after one that I have. It's a little Adobe, and it is my favorite one out of my collection, and so I thought I would create my own and share it with you guys. This is another one that I created. These are larger ornaments, and so you can add hangers to them and make them into ornaments, or you can create several and make your own little Putz village. But so let me show you what the supplies are for these. So I have created the pattern for you to print and cut out. If you don't have a printer, it's really easy. I will share the measurements so you can just draw your own. So this is the house, and it just folds on the fold lines, and this is the little roof that fits down. This is the pattern for the Adobe. The little roof sits down inside like this. And then this is the little base that it sits on. So you will need those. You need a pair of scissors to cut those out. And you'll need a pencil and a ruler to draw them out. You need an empty recycled box. This is a Cheerios box, and you'll be able to get several houses out of one box depending on the size of the food box. If you use a smaller cracker box, you might only get 2. This is a giant size cereal box, and I have made 2 out of it, and I still have all of this left. A couple of clamps. If you don't have these kind of clamps, clothespins work great, or even a paper clip will work. You will need, this is a bone folder, and so it scores the paper. So after you have cut out your shape from the cardboard, you're going to score on the lines with this, and then this will help you make a nice crease in your cardboard. If you don't have this, you could probably use a butter knife. That should work just as well. You will need a black Sharpie pen. To make this house in the colors that I used, you're going to need white craft paint, and of course a paintbrush or a sponge brush to paint it on. I also used yellow for the windows. I used a combination of these 2 colors to create the door color. You can use any colors that you want. You will also need Mod Podge or white craft glue. You will need white craft glue, but you can substitute what we'll use the Mod Podge for with the craft glue also. Glitter. You want the chunky, like school craft glitter, not the fine stuff. And you need a couple of little miniature items of your choice. I used a little pink bottle brush tree like this one. Here's a white one that I used on this house. You could use a little miniature deer or a snowman, just any little miniature objects that you think would look cute next to your pet's house. You also need a pair of zigzag These are paper shapers, patterned scissors, so they'll cut a zigzag line. That's optional. That's how the top of this one is created. You don't have to do that, or if you have some other shape like scallops, that would be cute also. I also used this when I put my tree on. You can see I cut the base down a little bit so it would sit flat against the house, and I shaved off the back side of the tree. So to cut the wood base of that, I used these miter shears for cutting. They're like for miniatures, for cutting the molding and stuff. And so you can cut miters and straight edges with these, and they snap right through thin wood like that. So I used those. You could also use a saw, or you could probably just sand it down, or just not even cut it at all. And so I think those are all of the supplies that you will need to make these little houses. And so now I'm going to show you how to make them. They're pretty easy. The hardest part is waiting for the glue to dry. Or maybe that's just the hardest part for me, but that they're a little more time consuming just for that reason. So let's get started. I'm going to start by cutting out all of your pieces from the pattern that I created for you, or the one that you'll be able to download. If you don't have a printer, it will have the measurements, so you can draw your own and cut your own out. So once you have them cut out, I'm going to put them onto your recycled cereal box or cracker box or whatever you're using. Put this one here. And then you also want to mark these lines, where these lines are going to be, because you're going to use your bone folder on those to make the creases so that you can fold them. So there's my first one. Now that you've got these cut out, we are going to use our bone folder and a ruler to go over these lines. Then you just take this rotary edge of your bone folder, or you may have one that's just a piece of hard plastic and doesn't have the rotary part, or you can use a butter knife. And you just go press down and go over your line a few times like that. I think you should be able to see the score line on there, and that way you can bend it easily. So do that on all of those lines. And then you will fold it and use this side of your bone folder to press down and make a nice crease. And so this is your little house shape, and we will glue it together. Your decorative scissors to cut along the top edge. onto the roof piece. Now the roof has it has an inset of about it's about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to use this and go around the edge of this with the bone folder scoring tool again. And then here at the points where the two score lines meet, you want to cut from the point down to that line where they meet on all 4 corners. And then you want to go and fold it up along those lines. So we'll just put a little dab of the blue here on the corners. And then hold them up. And then we'll clamp these. Set that aside to dry. And then we will, I forgot to mention in the supply list, you don't have to do this part, but if you're going to have this hanging on your tree as an ornament, you're probably going to want to, but we're going to cover the back side of the base with some scrapbook paper. This. So I just have some Christmas themed paper. I'm just gonna cut out a little piece to cover this bottom. And then you could use either the Mod Podge or just some tacky glue. I'm just going to use tacky glue. Rip the glue all the way out to the corners so it'll be nice and secure all the way around. And then goes right on top. Then you can use a squeegee tool, scraper tool, or a credit card and just squeeze it down. Okay, and once you get that in there where you want it, squeeze a little bead of glue. Should be all right. You can kind of tap it a little from the inside into the bead of glue. Okay. And then we can glue it to the base. Don't worry about being too messy with the glue here either, because this whole thing will be covered with glitter and it will hide a multitude of sins. Alright, now that your little house is all put together and glued, we are going to paint it. Okay, once your house is dry, you can sketch on the little windows and a door. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just, you know, a basic window shape. You could use a ruler if you want, or just sketch it on. Make sure that you're sketching on the front of your house, and you should have a little bit of like porch area here to glue some miniatures to, and less area here. And then I'm going to use the yellow to paint in the windows, and then you can do whatever color you want for the door. This is pineapple color. And so you just want a smaller paintbrush so that you can get the little corners and stuff. And you're just going to paint in your windows. do cloudless. Okay, and now that you have your little house painted, we're going to use the black Sharpie and trace around the windows and the door to, you know, define it. So you can use a ruler or just freehand it. I'm just going to freehand it. There we go. And then I'm gonna give it a couple minutes to dry and then we will glitter it. Okay, and so you're gonna want some sort of tray. This is a glitter tray. You can just pour it right back in the bottle. And so I'm gonna use the Mod Podge for this. If you wanted to use just the tacky glue, I would water it down a little bit because it's a little too thick. And then I have my chunky glitter. So I'm gonna use another sponge brush. And I'm just gonna with Mod Podge, you do have to work a little bit quicker. It dries pretty quickly, so you probably just want to do one side of your house at a time. And just put a generous layer on. And then sprinkle on. You can see it did hide a lot of the imperfections that I had. That's why I was saying don't worry too much about, you know, little things being wrong. That's what makes it more charming. So let's add some little details. I am going to use my hot glue gun for this just because it sets up faster. And I think for this little house, I'm going to use a white tree. And so in the supply list, I mentioned these miter shears. And so what I'm going to use those for is just to cut my base in half so that it'll sit up next to the house a little better. Because if I don't, I mean, it would still be all right, but it just kind of hangs over the edge. And I don't want that, so I'm going to trim it. And So just, it's really easy, just chop it right off. There we go. Let me see that. And then I'm going to trim these branches a little so that they will be flush up against the house. If you don't have any bottle brush trees, I have seen them in the Target dollar spot. Most craft stores nowadays are probably going to have them. You can order them on Etsy and probably eBay even. Okay, so there's my little tree. And so as soon as my glue gun heats up, I'm just going to stick that right on the front there. And see, it sits nicely on the front of the house, doesn't hang over, and I don't think I really even need to glue the tree to the house. So there you go. Now if you wanted to make this into an ornament, you can just nestle it into the tree branches like this, which is probably what I'll do. You could punch a little hole in the top here and put a little piece of ribbon or something and hang it that way. But I think I'm just going to leave mine like this. There we go.